Hello, I'm Dr. Gloria Horsley, and today I'd like to introduce you to Shep Jefferys, who is an assistant professor of psychiatry at Johns Hopkins School of Medicine and affiliate associate professor at Loyola University, Maryland, and a psychologist and grief counselor in private practice. Well, Shep, you've just published a second edition of your fabulous book, Helping People Grieve When Tears Are Not Enough. And it's your second edition. Tell us about it, and where did you get the title from? And
I'm glad you asked about the title, Gloria, because there is a story about it. When Tears Are Not Enough indicates that we're going to help the grieving people when the usual, customary kinds of things that people do after they've had a loss, a death, or some other terrible diagnosis, that which they do to help themselves, that is support from other people in the family, and sometimes tears really can handle things for people. So when the tears are not working and the friends are not working and the church friends are not working in terms of getting me to feel like I'm moving through this valley of the shadow of death, then they need somebody else to come in and be supportive. And this book is designed to train the person who's going to do that, both the professional, mental health or healthcare provider, as well as trained volunteers, and even family caregivers can get something from this because it's designed to help them. I wrote this book really for my graduate students at Loyola, where I am, as you indicated, assistant professor in the pastoral counseling department.
so you do a connection between the spiritual and the practical kind of thing, because sometimes we get away from the spiritual in helping people.
You know, I find that, particularly in working with death, that's one time when people who have not really been involved in their faith system for years will suddenly turn to a pastor, a rabbi, somebody, and say, I want him buried, or I want her buried with all of our traditional faith rites, even though we don't belong to anything. It's the one time where it's really important to be aware of where people are coming from with that. So many folks who have a loss suddenly will either reach for their faith or not reach for their faith. They'll reject their faith. And for those that do, we find that they have another loss. Those who've been involved in their faith who suddenly say, well, I followed the program, I did all the things right, and this happened anyway, something's wrong up there, I don't want any part of it.
Right.
Okay? So they then have the loss of that resource. And I see faith as part of the provider team when it's available.
Oh, I like that.
So we're helping grieving people when their tears and the usual and customary things we do are not enough.
What would be your advice to somebody who's going to help grieving people?
The main thing is, can you really listen to that person? Can you effectively listen to that person and keep your agenda out of the way? And if you're a grieving person looking for help, find someone who will listen to you and give you the time you need to be heard.
Hey, thank you so much for being on today's show.
Glad to help.
Sailing out on the bright sea, sailing along, my bright, bright-eyed girl and me. It was like nothing to be sailing along, watching you laughing, find myself laughing and strong.